You've worked a lot on prison reforms, especially for children of the prisoners. But the thing is, imprisoned people, when they are released, even though they've had an education, they've gone through reforms, society still stigmatizes them. They find it difficult to get jobs and such. So how must this be changed?
This will change only when reforms enter prisons as well. The community will start, people will start getting to know that the person who's gone in is not wasting time. It's investing time. Thank God, he's now in a restricted environment. He'll be compelled to educate. Can be compelled to learn. So if you get kinds of programs which we did, we created an environment of learning. Once we create an environment of learning inside the prison, they are always visited by the families. The language they will convey is that they are learning, not crime, but skill. That will then raise the acceptability level.
Okay, Dr. Kiran, I just want to get your opinion on this. I'm not sure if the Indian legal system had this, but in Malaysia, certain juvenile convicts, if they are caught for crimes that normally would result in a death sentence, we do not have the death sentence for juveniles, but what we do have is an indeterminate sentencing where you're sentenced at the pleasure of the king or of the royals. And this only allows for the prisoner to appeal once every 4 years, and if the pardons board decides not to provide the freedom, the prisoner remains for 4 years, another 4 years, and this is a continuous process. There's no end to that. So what do you think of this system? Must it go?
You can't say it should go or it should remain. I think it varies from person to person. The fact that they're re-examining the person every 4 years, I think is a welcome step, because it's not indeterminate. It's determined. That means it's like a sentence revising board. We call it the SRB in India, where after a particular person has done 14 years of life, then he or she goes before sentence revising board, which has a welfare officer, the police officer, the home secretary, the home minister, etc. So same way. So therefore it can end depending, but it's on parameters. What has the prisoner learned during this time? What has his behavior been? 4 years I think is too long. Maybe you can reduce it to 2 years. That may be better. But also see that the juvenile who's grown up now in the prison, has he acquired a skill? Has he got an attitude which will encourage him on not committing crimes, but restoring justice? So I think that should be examined by a psychologist, and then put the report before the board. Right? And then they could reduce. I think it can be, could be 2 years. 4 years is too long. 2 years would be reasonable. But the key should be that is he prepared to start a crime-free life? If he is, then it's worth it. But you can also link it with probation period. If he commits a crime, then he loses that opportunity. So I think there are other ways now of doing electronic tagging. So you can even use technology and do an electronic tagging, which they do in the West. So tag him for a year or two. If he's crime-free, take the tag off. So it's like a probation period. So you can find via medias.
All right, Dr. Kiran, the last question. Now, all the issues that I've raised here, child marriage, education in prison, you have seen all this both during your time as a cop and now as a social activist. Now, how do you personally think you deal with these problems?
It lies in the hands of the local leadership, the political leadership, and social reformers, both. But as I said, let the society minimize problems through proper education, proper schooling, proper parenting. But finally, in the end, the messages which come through political and social reform leadership and the media actually influences people. What are those messages? What kind of character leadership is being shown by the political leadership or by the social reforms? If it's showing nobility, it spreads nobility. But if it's showing corruption, it spreads corruption. It spreads disharmony. Then the priorities are all distorted. You can't say something else and do something else. So I think that consistency, called the alignment, is very vital in the leadership, but from the leader to the people. Alignment of trust, alignment of empowerment. You see, it's and alignment of acceptability of. So, but if there's a contradiction, I think that's where the problem is. A trusting leadership empowers people, but a leadership which cannot be trusted disunites people, disempowers people. The key is trust.